Good morning and welcome to St Margaret's, Dunfermline, where our Thinking Day service will be starting shortly.
We had a funeral here in the church It was in a Heinz funeral. It was extremely well attended, but the family would like to say thank you to the church for all the support that they received, but also to let you know that £710 was raised at the end of the service and that that will go to cancer research. So, just an information about that. Let's pray. Heavenly Father, we thank you for this day. We thank you that it's a day of difference, a day when we come together to remember everything in life that matters most. We pray today for your Spirit to be with us in this place. We pray that you would help us to understand where we fit in to life and to this great drama of being part of this world and all that it holds. We pray that you would help us to understand how you fit into it and how you feel about it. Loving Father, we then pray that through your Spirit you would bring peace to our hearts, strength to our bodies, and that you would guide us in everything that we do today, that it might be to your glory. For we ask it in Jesus' name. Amen. Let's begin our service then and our worship by singing our first hymn, All Over the World, the Spirit is Moving.
Somebody asked me a question a few weeks ago, and the question was, what difference does God make to your life? What difference does God make to your life? And I thought that that was a very, very hard question to ask. Even for a minister, I thought it was a very difficult question to answer. And I said to the person, well, why are you asking me that question? Because I thought they were just trying to trip me up. Why are you asking me that question. And interestingly, the person said this, they knew me quite well, he said this, well, you seem to have so many things wrong with you, right? And what puzzles me is, why do you think God is so important to you if you've got so many things wrong with you? Surely if God really cared about you, you would have nothing wrong with you and you'd be okay. That seemed a reasonable question to ask and a reasonable statement to make. And I thought about it, and I was reading this book, and there was a perfect illustration of it came up. And I would like to share that illustration with you, because it's the tale of the 2 cans of Coke. Okay, so I'd like to share the story of the tale of the 2 cans of Coke. One is Diet Coke, right? The other an ordinary can of Coke. But to be able to do this, I need 2 people to help me, right? I need the weakest person in the church. The weakest person in the church. Who thinks that they're the weakest person in the church? You really? I felt your hand. Right. The strongest then. If you look around, do you think you're the strongest? Yeah, I think. Come on, right, we'll try you. And we can always get somebody to help you if you're not, okay? You struggle a wee bit. So I'm going to give you a can of Diet Coke, okay? I want you to hold on to that, feel it a wee bit, right? You okay with that? Right? Let's see. The weakest person in the church. Susan, would you like to come? Come on, you please. You're going to have to help me here, because I'm going to give you this, right? Strongest and the weakest. Can you see the strongest and the weakest person in the church? Yeah, just there. What I want you to do is I want you to crush that can. Wait till I tell you. I want you to crush that can so that, well, we'll see what happens when you crush it. You feel confident you can crush it. Right? Okay, and I want you to crush your can. So crush it, go like that. Crush it.
Ooh.
Oh, come on. She's only a wee flea. Oh, and it's Diet Coke as well. Right. What? You think you need some help? No. Keep crushing that can? You want to keep crushing it? Oh, crush it. I think you'll think what would happen. Look. See this one? She's determined. Absolutely determined. Right, let's go. I think you've made an impression. There's a wee dent there. See it? Who's won? This one? Yeah, that means you've won. Right, well done. On you go. Can I let you hold them both? Right. Can you tell me why you think she was able to crush that? Because it's empty. That's right. But it's got a top in it. See? Where did that happen? I'd like to see. So it's empty. I'm sorry, right? I'm sorry.
Well done.
Well, there's a point to this. Seriously, there's a point. The point is that our lives can be crushed if we're just on our own. Because there's things that happen to us, and things that happen to people recently in the church where they've lost people that they love. And our lives can really be crushed if we're on our own. But when God is in our life, and you were crushing hard, weren't you? You were trying really hard to crush that. Why couldn't you crush it? Because it was full. That's right. You couldn't really crush it. And if you succeeded in crushing it, if you were really, really brutally strong, then it would have pinged your way out. Right. Point is, if God is in our life, like this can, even although things get really, really tough and really, really hard, we withstand it because there is somebody in our life that is greater and stronger than what's against us. Right? So what I want you to think about is, what difference would God make to our lives? All the difference. All the difference. Because life can be really tough sometimes, life can be really hard sometimes, life can crush you sometimes. But if God is in our life, no matter how hard or difficult it gets, then He's always there to fill up our lives with His strength, and we can face anything. He's there with us. Okay? Thank you. Appreciate your help. Right, we're going to sing again, and this time we're going to sing our second hymn, Be Still for the Presence of the Lord.
guides and leaders, would you like to stand and say your promise with me? I promise that I'll do my best to be true to myself and develop my beliefs, to serve the Queen and my community, to help other people and to keep guide love.
Scouts, explorers and leaders, please. Make the scout sign. On my honour. I promise that I will do my best. To do my duty to God and to the Queen. To help other people. And to keep the scout warm. Thank you. Now you've just finished making your promises, and what I'm going to ask all of us to do now is, rather than me do a reading about the Lord's Prayer, I'd like us to stand and say it. Now, I know that by the time I reached the end of primary 1 at school, I was able, as everybody else was, to say the Lord's Prayer off by heart, and that was something that we did every single day in school. What I've chosen is a different version of it, a more modern version of it, and I would like us just to stand and say it together rather than me reading it. So let's just stand, and if you would follow me, and let's not rush through it, let's read it at a pace that is sensible. Our Father in heaven, hallowed be your name. Your kingdom come, your will be done, on earth as it is in heaven. Give us today our daily bread, and forgive us our sins, as we forgive those who sin against us. Save us from the time of trial. Deliver us from evil. For the kingdom, the power, and the glory are yours, now and forever. Amen. Please be seated. Boys and girls, adults too, we have been thinking in the church since the beginning of the year about prayer. Now, prayer is one of these things that sounds very, very difficult or very hard, or it doesn't make a lot of sense to us. And I'd like just to unpack for 5 or 6 minutes this morning the whole idea of that, so that perhaps you can go away and think about it, and you can understand it a wee bit better and try it. The first thing is this. You and I have relationships or friendships. Do you understand what I mean by that? We have relationships or friendships. And the one that perhaps matters most to us is our relationship with our parents or grandparents or the person who cares for us, right? That's the most important one. Is a relationship something where all that we do is talk to that person? Is that what a relationship means? Just talking to someone? Having a conversation with them? No. I think a relationship means that we trust that other person. We know or are confident that that other person cares about us, loves us. And so a good friendship is where we feel comfortable with somebody. We know that that person is there for us, that person loves us, and that we're important to them. Right? And it's not just about how we talk to each other, it's about why we talk to each other and how we feel when we do that. So, relationship is very important. A relationship with your parent is very different from a friendship with somebody else, isn't it? That's a very different kind of relationship. A friendship is somebody who is a close friend of yours, but a relationship with your parents or your closest carer is where that person is looking after you and taking care of you. That's different. And I want you to think about prayer as being like a relationship with God. Not just a friendship with God, but a relationship with God. First of all, that you believe he exists. Right? He is there. He is not physical like any of us here. He's not up there somewhere, but that he is a spirit and that he is present everywhere, always. Right? So the first thing is you have to believe he exists. Right? That's the first thing. The second thing you have to believe is that he is good and that he cares about you. And the only way we can know that is because he showed us what that was like with Jesus. Someone who deeply, passionately cares about you and me. He showed us what God was like and how he feels about us. And so he asks that we have, or begin to have, a relationship with him. So the first thing is trust. Okay? Trust. We trust him. We trust that he's there and that he's good and that he cares about us and that he loves us. All these things. The second thing is that we do have conversations. Right? We do talk to God. Now here's where things might not get difficult, but where we have to think about it. Now, if God is a spirit, and he's everywhere, okay, that means that we can speak to him without having to talk. Do you understand what I mean? Like, sometimes you know how we have conversations that go on in our minds? We think about things that go on in our minds, right? We don't have to speak out loud to have a relationship with God. We can talk to him in our minds. You with me? Understand what I mean? Right? I kind of lost myself somewhere there, but anyway, I think you know what I mean, right? He's a spirit, he's everywhere. We can talk to him. Okay, if you use words, okay, if you talk out loud, however you want to do it, you can have a conversation with God. Well, what is prayer then? Is it just a conversation with God? Is it maybe asking God to help us when we feel that we are finding something really difficult in our lives? Perhaps we're finding somebody who's a friend really difficult to get on with. Perhaps I've said something that's hurt us, and we don't know how to deal with it. And so we're asking God, how do I deal with this person? Right? Because I thought that person really cared about me and they've gone and done something that's hurt me. And God sometimes puts thoughts back into our heads and says, you know, sometimes you hurt other people too, don't you? Sometimes you say things that are careless and hurt other people. And that's just what happens sometimes with friends. It doesn't mean to say the friendship's over. It just means that every friendship isn't perfect. And sometimes you've got to know and learn how to forgive each other. So, when times are difficult or things are hard, God maybe wants you to talk to him about it. And maybe he'll put thoughts back into your mind that will help you understand what we need to do. Maybe he'll help you by saying, well, you know, what would Jesus have done? What would Jesus do? WWJD. What would Jesus do in any given situation that you find yourself in? Would he hurt somebody back? No, I don't think so. Right? What would Jesus do when you see somebody that nobody else is talking to in the playground? I think he would want you to go and try to be their friend so that they didn't feel out of it. All these different things. But let me give you an example of a conversation you might have with Jesus, with God. I would like to have a new mobile phone. Right? So you're being being encouraged. God says, you can ask me for things. Ask me for anything you want, God says. And you think, right, okay, that sounds good. Right, I would like a new mobile phone. Not just any new mobile phone, but let's go to the very, very top of the range. Easy one. Right, let's go to the very top of the range. The most expensive mobile phone you can get. Now, if God says He wants us to ask for things, then it's reasonable for us to ask for something we would like, yeah? Yeah? Except maybe the conversation would go something like this. Maybe God would speak back to your mind and say, what's wrong with the mobile phone you've got? What's a mobile phone for? It's not to speak to people. It's not to text people. It's to play games. Right, that's really why you have a mobile phone. Right, there's a whole lot of reasons why you have a mobile phone. And if you've got one, you think, God might say, well, what's wrong with the one you've got? I want a new one. I want the best that there is. And in this conversation with God, maybe God would talk to your mind again and say, I want you to think about what you heard in the news today, or yesterday, or the day before that. And I want you to think about what happened in Syria. Do you remember what happened in Syria? The bombing that's been going on in Syria? And hundreds of boys and girls have lost their lives. And I would like you to think about whether you think it's right to spend all that money on a mobile phone, on yourself, or whether, if we've got it, that money should be spent helping people who are a whole lot worse off than you are. What do you think the answer to that should be? You might not like it, but what do you think the answer to that should be? The mobile phone? Or helping people in Syria? I'll give you a good example of that. Round about Christmas time, my children, all 6 of them, well, 5 of them, 5 of them decided to say, what is it we want for Christmas time? You get frustrated with Mum and Dad every year because we keep on saying that we really don't want anything for Christmas. There's nothing that we need for Christmas. Yeah? When you get as old as I am, you've got everything that you need and everything that you want. Really, truly. Do you want a book? No, I've got plenty of books. Right? And they went through the whole list of all the different things that you could get, and even when it came to socks, there was enough socks. Right? I didn't need any more of them. And I said that I would actually like, rather than them spending money on me, to spend money on someone else who needed it. And so on Christmas Day, I opened a wonderful envelope up. And it said that in my name, a shelter box had been bought. Now, a shelter box is a big box with a tent and a whole lot of other things that goes to help refugees, people who've been bombed out of their homes, and people who are having to live without a home and in really terrible conditions. It helps them set up and be safe. Right? That's the whole point of it. It's not cheap to buy it, it's quite expensive to buy it. But do you know something? It was, for me, the best Christmas present I've had for a long, long time. Because it wasn't bought for me. It was bought to help other people. And all the things that you get are things that are nice and are good, and I appreciate it, but I don't actually need them. So maybe God would have that kind of conversation. That's the kind of conversation you talk about with God. Not just, I would like, I want, but maybe God talking to us about what others might need instead. You understand that? See the point I'm trying to make? Okay, so what I would like to ask you to do, and what I would like you to think about, is what we talked about in the first bit. Would God make a difference? Could God make a difference to your life? Have you thought about that? If you ask God to come into your life, that's the beginning of a relationship. What is God like? Who is he? How does he think about me? Does he care about me? Does he love me? Is he good? And can I talk to him freely about anything? And then when you talk to somebody, you stop to listen. This is one of the things that a lot of adults are very poor at, right? They're very good at talking to you and very poor at listening. So we're going to learn what it means to have a relationship with God. Yes, have a conversation, but having a conversation means two-way, where we ask God for something and then we stop and listen. And God speaks to us in three different ways, I think. Through other people, through the Bible, and into our minds. Through other people, through the Bible, and into our minds. So I want to encourage you to try prayer and to see whether opening up a conversation with God might make a difference to your life. It might in fact change your life. It might in fact change your life forever and make you a completely different person altogether. Try pray. Right. Now what we're going to do is we're going to sing this time the Lord's Prayer. And after we've sung the Lord's Prayer, we're going to pray. What I'm going to do is I'm going to pray and I'm going to leave little pauses for you to think about what I'm saying, so maybe you can talk to God about one or two, and it's only going to be one or two things that are happening in the world today. Okay, so we begin by saying, Our Father who is in heaven, hallowed be your name.
Your kingdom come, your will
give them strength to go on. That you would help them with their new life. We think about the news and the things that we've been hearing coming out of Syria. For years, Lord, this has been the same story. Boys and girls, men and women, hundreds, thousands, tens of thousands being killed. This week alone, hundreds killed. There's a peace process. We pray that it will work. We pray that those people who have power will change for good what is happening in Syria. We think about our own lives. We thank you for our lives. But perhaps there are difficult things that we're having to deal with in our lives. And so we ask for your help. We ask that you would give us wisdom and understanding. And if things are hard, that you would help us to change. And maybe even to forgive. If you would give us the kind of love that we need to be able to deal with the difficult situations and difficult people we have to face. We ask, Lord, that you would bless all of the different youth organisations that are represented here today and their leaders. We thank you for them. We thank you for the support and for the fun and for everything about all the things that we enjoy week in, week out. Continue to support and help our leaders. Bless us then, each of us and our families, our homes, and those that we love. For we ask it in the name of Jesus, who showed us what you were like, Heavenly Father, and still are. Amen. Let's close our worship by singing our final hymn, which is Bind Us Together.
Together with hearts that cannot be broken.
me the love and the forgiveness